the foods that these folks are craving, they're making them obese and sick and clogged up and diabetic and hypertensive. These are unnatural diets. When you turn back the cultural time clock in Mexico, in India, in Indonesia, they weren't eating animal flesh 3 times a day. You didn't kill your chickens every night for buffalo wings. You run out of chickens pretty quickly there. What they need to do is rediscover their cultural heritage. Why were the less socially found people eating this? Because rice and beans are cheap and they're full of protein, healthy fiber. They're really the salvation for what we need to get back to. And they have all the wonderful colors and textures and flavors of the curries, the chilies, and the lasagnas and the stir fries, the oil stir fries. There's ways you can make this healthy and delicious. And along the way, they'll return to the physiology they used to have. They'll become the lean, healthy people with open arteries like they used to be before the Western disease diet made them so ill. So they'll get better. It's going to help everything, personal health and public health around the world.
Welcome to Plant the Change. I'm Michele Fasnacht, founder of Solid Rock, Florida, an innovative nonprofit that includes Solid Rock Community School, providing K-12 education, and the Sanctuary at Solid Rock, offering lifelong care for animals in need. We're a forward-thinking, eco-advanced organization dedicated to compassionate, humane education. How do you think the widespread adoption of plant-based diets can impact global health, particularly in the terms of reducing chronic disease?
Oh my, that's a question that wouldn't have even been thought of when I started my medical work 50 years ago. The thought that people in third world developing countries their biggest problems are obesity and clogged arteries and high blood pressure, the diseases of civilization of us Western folks there. Well, it's now spread around the world, and we're seeing these type 2 diabetes is rampant. We're seeing obese the Japanese folks. They were all so slender and petite. Now we see these the huge folks, and no slam on them. It's happening. It's a universal phenomenon. Though the Europeans seem to be doing better. The last time I was in France, so I did see a lot of obese folk, more than I used to, and same in Germany. But it's going to happen there as the fast food culture insinuates itself. And now these poor countries are having to deal with shipping out their cardiac transplant patients and their patients who need stents to pay for their airfare to Miami, etc. How is it going to affect global health? Are you kidding? Everybody will benefit by preventing these diseases and reversing them. I have a plaque in my office that said it's the food. It's been the food all along, and that's the truth of it here. And so the sooner it gets around in the global healing community and they promote plant-based nutrition, the real solution to the global health problems will finally start at that time.
Well, and that answer touched base on the next question. What are some of the major health challenges the world is facing today? The crises that we're seeing right now in society that could be mitigated through dietary changes and switching to a plant-based diet?
Oh my, it's so
I know, they're big questions, I know.
Yeah, well, it's sad and strangely ironic because the very, the foods that these folks are craving, they're making them obese and sick and clogged up and diabetic and hypertensive. These are unnatural diets. Back, when you turn back the cultural time clock in Mexico, in India, in Indonesia, they weren't eating animal flesh 3 times a day. You didn't kill your chickens every night for buffalo wings. You run out of chickens pretty quickly there. All of them, all these ethnic cultures have a long history of plant-based eating, rice and beans and grains and fruits and vegetables. Those are the staples of all these civilizations. And, they've been seduced away from them by the Western fast food culture. What they need to do is rediscover their cultural heritage. And, I hate to, it's peasant food. But why were the less socioeconomic people eating this? Because rice and beans are cheap. and they're full of protein and healthy fiber. They're really the salvation for what we need to get back to. And they have all the wonderful colors and textures and flavors from the curries and the chilies and the lasagnas and the stir fries, the oil stir fries. There's ways you can make this healthy and delicious. So it'll help everything, and along the way, they'll return to the physiology they used to have. They'll become the lean, healthy people with open arteries like they used to be before the Western disease diet made them so ill, and so they'll get better. It's going to help everything, personal health and public health around the world.
When you think about it, the purpose of cow's milk, I did most of my growing up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. The purpose of cow's milk is to turn a 65-pound calf into a 400-pound cow as rapidly as possible. Cow's milk is baby calf growth fluid. That's what this stuff is. Everything in that white liquid, the hormones, the lipids, the proteins, the sodium, the growth factors, the IGF, every one of those is meant to blow that calf up to a great big cow, or it wouldn't be there. And whether you pour it on your cereal as a liquid, whether you clot it into yogurt, whether you it into cheese, whether you freeze it into ice cream, it's baby calf growth fluid.
One of the challenges that we've faced with our school is we can't qualify for the National School Free and Reduced Lunch program. So every school in America pretty much can, except for us, because we have a 100% plant-based kitchen. So in order to qualify for that program where low-income families can get free and reduced lunch, your school has to serve animal products on the menu. So we're one of the only schools who can't qualify. So that's a real hardship for us as a school and a hardship for families. So my question to you is, we obviously, for us, the health benefits are more important. I don't want to be feeding kids animal products and giving them milk and giving them food to eat and drink that I personally experienced as toxic for my health. Okay, so for me it was toxic, it kept me sick. And I would go to bed sobbing at night knowing that I was giving kids that food. It felt wrong. It was like giving kids cigarettes, giving them drugs, giving them something that wasn't healthy and good for them. So we as a school made a decision not to participate we couldn't participate. Actually, they made the decision for us that we can't participate in the program. So we can't. But so my question is, what advice would you give to other schools, educators, administrators who they want to promote a plant-based diet in their school, but they're limited because when you do certain things, you can't receive the funding. And for every school, it's not practical or sustainable to be able to do something like that. So what advice can you give to them? And obviously, one of the big things that I want to work on, and one of the things that I hope that you'll be part of on our committee, is seeing if we can do anything to create change with that, because it's not fair. I understand it from a business perspective of how it's funded, but it isn't fair. And if there's a way to change it, I hope we can change that.
Wow, good for you. First of all, before we get into that, let me just for the viewers here uh, emphasize and hit the pause button. Did you hear this remarkable manifestation of personal and professional integrity that Michelle and the whole Solid Rock crew manifested? They could not serve animal products. The money was on the line, didn't matter. There comes a point where your integrity and your compassion overrule any monetary concerns. And we'll deal with the chips as they fall. An important thing, we're not going to sacrifice our highest values. Yay for that. This is what the small steps of heroism that we need in all our lives. So thank you, and just want to acknowledge that. So that said, what can you do? Here you see the death grip of the meat and dairy industry and the Department of Agriculture. That they got around the education. We got to keep shoving this stuff into our kids because we got a surplus of cheese and we got a surplus of meat, and the schools are a great place to to let this stuff flow into, and you got to do it, and the money's on the line, yada, yada, all that stuff. And meanwhile, it's not in truth. It's hurting the kids, hurting the animals, hurting the planet. It's not true. Can't stay as it is. So, what to do? Couple of things. First of all, this is a Washington bureaucratic thing. Find out who your senators and representatives are, and especially your congressmen. And do any of them have are they any role on the agriculture community? This cannot be allowed to stand. There's so much wheeling and dealing in Washington. Surely, because it's 2024, it's not 1992 any longer. The It's an exemption for plant-based schools is not out of the question. It would have been out of the question 30 years ago. Nowadays, plant-based is in the zeitgeist. Everybody knows about it. It's important.
Hello, friends. You can help make a difference by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the Plant the Change podcast. And you can visit us at solidrockflorida.org to learn more about Solid Rock Community School and the sanctuary at Solid Rock. Your support makes a real impact and helps plant the change. You can also become a sanctuary subscriber on any of our social platforms. Your monthly support helps provide food, enrichment, medical care, and the daily comfort our animals depend on. For only $4.99 a month, you'll receive exclusive private posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and eligibility for fun supporter giveaways. It's a small monthly gift that makes a huge difference in the animals' lives. Please subscribe today. When we first started this and started heading in this direction, we were having our regular public school food delivered to our private school daily, and I remember calling and asking them if they would give us plant-based or vegan meals. And they told me, no, you will not get those meals, and that will not happen. And if you serve those meals to your family while you're accepting state funding for meals, you will be arrested and your school will be closed down. And I will never forget that. And that's when I went home and I was like, this is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. We're just trying to give our kids fresher, cleaner, healthier food, and we're being told, no, you'll be arrested if you do. So it was pretty crazy. And like I said, I would go home and I would just sit in bed at night. I would say to my husband, I can't do this. Like, this feels so wrong to me, because you can't unlearn what you know, right? And at this point, I had my own personal experience that actually, put my life in a new way of looking at things. But then I started educating myself. And as I educated myself and I watched documentaries and I read books and I spoke to plant-based doctors, once I learned all these things, I couldn't still do it, because you can't unlearn it. And it wasn't even a hard choice. It was the only choice. There was no other choice that I could make and continue to be involved in education. I couldn't do it.
Sometimes when you're in that strong an impasse there, some magic energy can be put in by the media to bring this story to the attention of the Tampa newspapers, of the Orlando TV networks. This is a human interest story, and you should be interviewed on the 6 o'clock news. Say how unfair this is. Are people aware? And embarrass these people, bring them out to tell people, what can we do? Well, we should write Congressman Smith and demand that plant-based schools be allowed to get a subsidy or get their financial support. Use the media here. This is outrageous, and people need to know about it, because Florida people don't understand. Florida tourism, whatever. It's a big agricultural state. And those ag
It
guys,
is, yes.
power, you bet. They got lots of power, and that's what you heard in that woman's voice. And we will shut you down, but that can't be allowed to stand. And the public needs to come on. It's a righteous cause. It's again, plant-based eating is on the ascendancy here.
For sure.
Ride that wave. Line up your surfboard and enlist the media, educate the public about this archaic, brutal, nasty policy here, and see what happens. You might get a call.
Okay, and hopefully you're going to help us with that, because we We definitely do really want to shift this paradigm. It's very important to us. So you joined the Solid Rock Committee as a wellness and nutrition expert, which clearly you are, and we're really, really grateful for your expertise. You know so much, and like I said, I just love listening to you talk. I could listen to you all day. We want our families of our school, but also families everywhere, to understand that plant-based foods are not only great for human health and for the environment and for global health. And all of these things are so important, and just by switching to a plant-based diet, it's like a win-win-win, because you're helping human health, you're helping the environment, you're helping animals, you're doing so many great things all with one act. As a school, we generally serve 1 meal a day to students. So that's about 5 meals a week. But at home, they're eating 15 meals a week, much more. So we hope that our 1 meal a day that we're serving the students and the education that we're providing will help encourage them to eat a plant-based diet at home. What advice can you offer to the parents to help them incorporate more plant-based meals at home, to make it easier for them, to help them find their way? Because it's really new for people, and people are always saying how hard it is. And you and I both know it's not hard. Once you're in it and doing it, it's not hard, but that preliminary beginning can be difficult for a lot of people. So what would be some things that you could offer to parents to help make it easier or encourage them to make this change?
Well, the first thing to do is don't be negative. This is not a crazy thing your child is exploring, is instituting into their lives. Um, uh, there's solid science behind it. It's a safe thing to do. If you have bean chili or beef chili, you're going to get all the protein you need. And they're making a statement of what they want to put in their own bodies. And again, their role as a being on this planet. To it doesn't you want to be at one creates the ecological destruction and the inherent cruelty in a meat-based diet, or do you want to make your life and your dietary choices a statement of compassion and positivity for the earth and for other living creatures? And that's all they're trying to do. And relax. They're not going to get protein deficient or vitamin deficient here. And help them make good choices. You can make start with just a plant-based breakfast. If you do a Google search on overnight oats, which I that one, and you take the oats, steel cut oats, and you pour some apple juice or water, soy milk in there. Let them soak overnight. By morning, they're soft and ready to eat. Throw in some frozen fruit that you took out of the freezer there, some sunflower seeds, and a little soy milk or rice milk on it. And you got a nice breakfast. Heat it up in the microwave on a hot cereal. So easy to do. Okay, it took no preparation. And, a plant-based breakfast. Well, how about a plant-based lunch? A soup and a salad and a sandwich works for lunch. So you make a nice hearty vegetable soup, make a big pot of it. You can eat off of it for 3 days. Have a big salad going in the fridge. And you can always take a salad, open up a can of beans, throw it on the salad there. Ooh, we got a meal right in yourself there. And again, a hummus sandwich or any of last night's veggie stir fry, or whatever. That makes a lunch. And dinner, so, and again, just once or twice a week, work with it. You might find yourself, your body feels better after one of these meals, bean chili or a vegetable curry for dinner. Your bowels work better. You feel lighter and better in the morning. And no one's saying you gotta never eat meat again, And if it takes you, some people take months to taper off, or they have it once or twice, fine. Should be 3 times a day. And so start moving in that direction. Don't be obstructive. There's no need for conflict here. You want to honor their individuality. They're growing into their personhood. We got to honor that by honoring their food choices. It's not a crazy or irresponsible thing they're about.
And I always say it's nice to start with like foods they're familiar with. So if they're already eating things like burgers or tacos or burritos or whatever it may be, you can make a plant-based version of that. And that way it's something that looks familiar, the texture can be familiar, and it's not some great big change. I know on our school menu, we have so many foods, right? And we have to have foods that are familiar to kids because we have some foods that aren't familiar to kids. We have some amazing food on our menu that would blow your mind. We have Peruvian calça. I mean, that's like, it's amazing, right? But the kids aren't ordering that. I'm ordering that, right? The kids want things that are familiar to them, and we have to make it we have to normalize it for them, right? I think, and there's so many ways. All you have to do is type in whatever your favorite recipe is, just type plant-based version of in Google, and it will give you so many recipes right there of what you're already eating at home. And sometimes they may not even know the difference, and sometimes they might, but it's just a newer, healthier version. So I think it's so easy to do today versus, 15 years ago or 10 years ago. I mean, it just gets easier every few years. There's so many options out there, and the recipes are out there. Before, you had to go buy a cookbook. You don't need to do that now. You don't need to go buy a cookbook. You can look it right up online, or you can buy a cookbook and have it sent to you, or you can listen to it on Audible. It's so easy nowadays. So I don't want parents to be scared, Add some smoothies. Kids love smoothies. There's another great easy thing to add in. It does not need to be difficult.
Beautifully said, Michele.
What amazing potential the body has to heal itself. I, as a physician, have a lot to do educating my colleagues. Before you order another $1,000 scan, another $500 set of blood tests, ask your patient what they ate yesterday. And if it's full of burgers and buffalo wings, then that's where to start. Send the patient to a plant-based dietitian down the hall, take them shopping and stock their refrigerator up.
Solid Rock, we are built on core values. We really try to add character development into our curriculum. So we have things like compassion, kindness, love, respect, but also health, inclusivity, and sustainability. So while these values do not make our school or students perfect, not every day, all the time, our hope is to always make, whenever we experience challenges, to bring them back to these core values. To say, how can we do this better? How can we properly influence our community? So how do these values resonate with you, and what are your thoughts of their importance in shaping our youth today?
Oh my, when I was a boy, I can't believe I'm saying that when I was young, but in school, you took a course called civics, and you learned how your local government worked and what local elections are about, etc. And you learn how to be a proper civic member of your society. And now those same principles are important, but it's expanded to the world. How do you be a good global citizen here? And that's really what Solid Rock exemplifies here. How can you be a good global citizen?
Right.
And the beauty and the power of Solid Rock's program is that you're recognizing the personhood of each one of these young people. We see you, it matters. We're depending upon you to act responsibly, to learn the facts and act responsibly, and know that every choice you make matters, every meal you order matters, all the words you say, whether they're positive or destructive, they matter.
And it's learning, it's progress, it's steps, right? That's why I said, we're not perfect. The kids aren't perfect. We're all people. You know what I mean? We're a business with a lot of human beings, and no one's perfect. And we're all learning, and we're all evolving, and we're all changing. And that's the goal, is to always be improving. You know what I mean? You can't help what you did yesterday, but you can help what you're doing today. You can change for tomorrow. And so that's kind of our philosophy with everything we're doing. It's like, let's learn how to be better. There's so many horrible traditions and so many bad habits, and if we can learn to break those cycles, we could have a different future for tomorrow.
Well said. That's exactly the point.
The yolk of a hen's egg is the most concentrated glom of saturated fat and cholesterol. It is made to run a baby chicken for 21 days with no outside energy. It is pure fat and cholesterol. And when we put that into our bloodstream, it coats our red blood cells. Our blood gets thicker and more viscous. It changes our hormone levels. It raises our cholesterol levels. There's nothing healthy about eating the yolk of the egg.
Dr. Klaper, I want to give you an opportunity to say anything that we didn't touch base on that matters to you and give your closing remarks on everything that's important that you didn't get a chance to say.
Well, we cover the major issues. And again, kudos to Solid Rock and your philosophy, because it's because of you we were able to talk about these subjects and you manifest them. And this should be the norm. All children should be learning this in all schools everywhere. It's revolutionary, but it also shouldn't be. It should be very bedrock standard. This is who we are on this planet now and who we need to be now. And the examples we set, talk is cheap. Well, politicians talk. It's what people do. And that starts with the food on your plate. When you're a kid, you feel diminished and I've got no power. But we do have a greater and greater power in our food choices. And again, and for the statement that makes to our contemporaries. So don't let anything pull you off the path. The animals are always watching. The earth is always watching. Every meal matters here. Know that you're doing something right with every plant-based meal, every healing kind thing you say, every kind act you do. That's really what makes a society livable and gives us hope for the future. And so make it a point to do something nice for somebody, asked for or not, every day. And so at the end of your life, people can say, she was a kind person. She was a kind man. That's the true victory in life. And again, and he didn't need animals. He didn't cause the death of animals. She made her life an example of knowing the preciousness of life. How nice to be remembered in that way. So make everything you do. So instead, live your life as though every act you do will eventually be made public. And our politicians are learning that one the hard way. And the same thing with your food choices and who you and this the statement that makes about you as a person. Plant-based and love are the keys to a brighter future for all of us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Klaper. Thank you for joining us today and sharing all of your profound insights into the benefits of plant-based nutrition and its impact on sustainability and global health. Your dedication to educating others about holistic living and the importance of diet in overall well-being has always been inspiring, and that never changes. Like I said, I could listen to you speak all day. We are really grateful for your time and the valuable knowledge that you've imparted to all of our listeners. I really hope that they hit the rewind button and listen to some of this again, because I think you have said things that are so important. And I think sometimes if it's the first time you're hearing it, it can be a little much to take in. So I do challenge the listeners to hit the rewind button and listen again. Dr. Klaper's guidance, it's undoubtedly helpful for us to further our mission, because we're out to create a healthier, more sustainable future for our students and community, and we hope that others are out to do the same thing. We look forward to implementing your insights and continuing to promote positive change together. Dr. Klaper, so much we're thankful for you being here. Please remember to check out Dr. Klaper's websites, drklaper.com and movingmedforward.com. Check him out. The Plant the Change podcast explores how education drives societal transformation, nurturing compassionate and responsible citizens, and plants the seeds of change for a better tomorrow. At Solid Rock, Florida, we're a nonprofit committed to compassionate, humane education, an approach that blends academic excellence, ethical responsibility, and emotional growth. We're doing something unique, and we need your support to expand our impact and strengthen our efforts to create lasting change. Visit solidrockflorida.org and click the donate button at the top of the page to see our current initiatives. You choose where your contribution goes, and every tax-deductible donation, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. Show your support and stay updated on future episodes and initiatives by following Plant the Change on YouTube and Solid Rock on Facebook and Instagram, at Solid Rock Community School and at Sanctuary at Solid Rock. Together, we can redefine the future of education and create a world that's guided by compassion and ethical responsibility. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep making a difference.